As someone who is passionate about our heritage, I've always felt you should be able to stand anywhere in the country and know what part of Britain you're in. And where Cambridgeshire, Northamptonshire and Lincolnshire and Rutland converge, you can do just that. It's the stone buildings that make this distinctive honey-coloured landscape. I just love the building materials round here, that golden yellow limestone, and look at the roof, organic, natural looking, really blends into the landscape. And these beautiful roofs can be seen all over this area. The distinctive stone slate that's used to make these roofs is only found round here, and this is the village that gives it its name, Collyweston. But the unique character that Collyweston Slate gives the local buildings is at risk, and with it the extraordinary heritage that has gone to make this area so special. This is the type of stone that goes to make Collyweston Slate. It's just wonderful. I mean, look at the colour variation in it. And it's really fine grained. It's got silica, sand in it, no great lumps of fossil shell. Really superb, hard wearing stuff. This stone is such a perfect roofing material that this area was once home to a thriving mining industry. Hundreds of Northamptonshire men would split their time between farming in the summer and mining in the winter. I know what you're thinking, mines in Northamptonshire? Well, they turn up in the most unexpected places. A mine shaft in the middle of an industrial estate. Oh, it's getting cold. From this height down, it's getting really cold. I'm on my way down to meet mine owner and slater, Claude Smith.
Right, now follow me. This is the entrance to a Collyweston Slate mine.
This is incredible. I didn't expect anything like this. This mine opened in 1846 and it spreads out beneath the entire industrial estate. The seam of Collyweston stone, which once formed an ocean bed, is not even high enough for me to stand up in. So what we're standing on, it's actually quite clayey and sandy, and the rock, the seam starts above this and goes up to how high?
Well, as you can see. And then it's
and that's, so that's the top of it?
That's the top of it.
So it's only this thick?
That's all it is.
Good grief. Claude showed me how the stone was mined through brute force coupled with an intimate knowledge of the stone, including the peculiar sounds it can make. So what about this thing I've read about, this clicking or talking? That's when it's ready to fall?
That's it. The old-fashioned, they used to say, it's talking to you.
Can you hear anything now?
Nothing at all. You're perfectly safe.
Excellent. It's estimated that there's enough Collyweston stone in this mine to roof 3,000 houses. But the problem is, no new slate has been produced here for decades. The mines had all fallen into disuse by the late 1970s and would now need massive investment to bring them back into production. That lack of new slates means there's a limited supply for new buildings and repairs, so recycled slate, salvaged from demolished buildings, is used. But this supply is dwindling, so there's a real danger that people will be forced to re-roof with foreign, less enduring materials. Here's a classic example, lovely old threshing barn, maybe 18th century. At some point in the past, the Collyweston slate roof has been stripped and it's been replaced with concrete tiles. You might think roofing materials aren't important, but if we lose these local distinctions, everywhere just begins to look the same, and we lose the skills to maintain the places we love. And the tragedy is, when that happens, we don't just change the look of a place, but we change its heritage, its history, the story of the miners and the slaters that built places like this. Sean Cummings knows the problem only too well. He's one of an increasingly rare breed, a Collyweston slater. So this is splitting the log, Sean?
Yes, Ben, this is what we call cliving. And this piece of log would have been weathered for 5 years, I would have thought, outside. And if you look closely, you can see all the veins and the laminates in the log there.
But nowadays, Sean rarely gets the chance to work on new stone like this.
Well, the biggest problem, Ben, is we just can't get enough new slate. I mean, obviously, if there's not enough being produced, we tend to go to reclaim. As you can see, most of it's reclaim here, and make up the shortfalls that way. But really, we need to find a way of producing Collyweston Slate again to keep the industry going.
It's not just the difficulty in mining the stone, because it might be possible to get sufficient quantities from quarries. But traditionally, once the stone was brought up, it was left outside for at least 3 winters so the frost could expose the natural joints. Today, that's not commercially attractive. So English Heritage is working on a scientific solution.
So locked away in here, we have 4 pallets of stone which are being artificially frozen. The idea being to speed up the process.
So this is trying to give nature a helping hand.
That's the idea.
Some Collyweston stone has been specially extracted from a local quarry so they can experiment with the idea.
Right, Ben, this is a stone that's being thoroughly saturated prior to going into the freezer. Because of course basically this is the sort of state that it was in when it came out of the mine.
Yeah, so how are the experiments going? Is it successful?
Well, I'll show you over here. Well, this is log that's been in probably once, one freezing, and as you see, it's all still very thick.
Yeah.
There's no noticeable bedding planes showing up, but if we look at the stone here, this has had at least 2 cycles. You can see very clearly.
Oh yes.
Slits beginning to appear along the bedding planes.
Yeah.
Much clearer, until we get to this lot, which has had at least 3 cycles, and we're down to size of the slates if you look at the thickness of that.
Yeah, very thin. So it's getting there, isn't it?
We're getting there, that's right. We have of course got a lot more work to do. This is essentially only testing. We're trying to get the method right. It was very successful in the lab, but to do it on a basis that might be commercially attractive, there's a lot more work.
You know, I hope we can find a solution to this problem, because it's absolutely unthinkable that we should lose this great tradition. I've come to meet up again with Sean, who's re-roofing an old barn with recycled Collyweston slate. Sean, this roof looks absolutely beautiful.
Oh, thank you, Ben, appreciate that.
And I can see now how these diminishing courses work. Tiny slates up at the top and these massive ones down at the bottom. How long does it take you to do a roof like this?
Oh, a roof like this with 2-3 slaters, I should say it takes 6-7 weeks, I would have thought.
7 weeks?
Yeah.
And you've got some more work going on around
Yeah,
the
we've
side?
got plenty to show you around the other side. Yeah, we've got a roof just started, so we're at the eaves level.